Have you ever wondered how a single act of kindness can turn your whole life upside down? This is not just a story, it's a reminder that compassion has the power to rewrite destinies. Stay with me until the end, because the way it all comes together will surprise you and touch your heart deeply. Clara was a young nurse, exhausted by the weight of her life but never too tired to care for others. She worked double shifts in a small city hospital, barely scraping enough to pay her rent. Her shoes were worn, her hands rough from endless sanitizers, and her soul often bruised by seeing more suffering than joy. But still, Clara's heart never turned cold. Every patient she met felt like a responsibility, not a burden. She often told herself, if I can't heal the world, I can at least heal one person today. The one rainy evening after her shift ended, Clara walked down the dimly lit street toward her tiny apartment. That's when she saw him. An older man hunched against the cold, dressed in ragged clothes, shivering under the bus shelter. His beard was unkempt, his hands dirty, and his eyes filled with quiet despair. Passers-by avoided him, some even glaring in disgust, but Clara couldn't walk away. She crouched down, her voice soft but firm. Sir, are you all right? Do you need help? The man barely nodded, his lips trembling. Clara didn't hesitate. She took off her own scarf, wrapped it around his shoulders, and guided him into the nearby cafe. She ordered him a hot meal, though she herself hadn't eaten since morning. As he slowly ate, his eyes watered, not from the steam of the soup but from something deeper. Clara didn't ask questions about his past or why he was on the streets. She simply treated him like a human being. Before leaving, she even slipped a little cash into his pocket, money she couldn't afford to spare. She smiled gently and said, the world is hard, but you're not alone. Please hold on. The man stared at her, his throat tight, unable to speak, but in his heart something shifted that night. Days turned into weeks. Clara forgot about the man, too busy drowning in her own battles. Her landlord kept threatening eviction. Her mother's medical bills piled up, and her coworkers often mocked her for being too soft in a world that demanded toughness. Some nights Clara cried herself to sleep, wondering if life would ever reward her sacrifices. But then one evening, after another grueling shift, there was a knock at her door. Clara opened it, and her jaw nearly dropped. Standing before her was the same man, but no longer in rags. He was dressed in a tailored suit, his beard trimmed, his eyes bright and clear, and in his hands he held a bouquet of fresh lilies. Her heart pounded as he spoke, his voice steady now. You may not recognize me, but I will never forget you. That night in the cafe when you gave me warm food and dignity, I was not just a man in rags. I was a man testing the world, searching for kindness in a place where it's so rare. I am Daniel Crawford and I am a millionaire. Clara gasped, speechless. Daniel continued, his eyes softening. I disguised myself to see if anyone would care for me without knowing my wealth. Everyone turned their backs except you. You gave me hope. And now I want to give you the life you deserve. He bent down on one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. Clara, will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face. She didn't care about his wealth. What touched her was that her act of kindness had lit up someone's broken world so deeply. She whispered yes, not because of the riches, but because she saw in him a man who understood her heart. Their love grew from that moment, built not on luxury but on gratitude, respect, and faith. Clara's struggles slowly faded, replaced with a life where she could finally breathe, finally dream. But she never stopped nursing, never stopped caring. She always said, kindness is wealth no one can steal. And so this story ends where it began, with one simple act of compassion. Sometimes the smallest gesture can lead to the greatest miracle. And maybe, just maybe,